Hello all. Right, this video's for TC Services, who made a comment a few weeks ago. And he turned around and he said, I don't think that shippers actually really want to, they just basically don't care about like the quality and the feedback. They just want the job cheap. And I thought about this and I kind of thought, well, yeah, you got a point. I mean, we all like a bargain, but like from our side of things, it's always nice if a job comes in a little bit dearer than we expected. But I don't think it's necessarily true. And I think there's something on the exchange which I would refer to as going rate. It kind of ties in with when I do videos about how much I reckon you should bid if you want to win jobs on the CX. Now, if you think about it, it stands to reason in the fact that it's like a supply and demand graph. It's one of them things, you know. If you're going to basically, if you're prepared to do the job, so let's say you take a typical job. Let's say you're going to take a job from like somewhere southish. Let's say somewhere like Slough, going up to somewhere like Kettering or something like that. Let's say for the sake of argument that's 100 miles. Whatever you've got to do, this route you've got to take is 100 miles, and they want it in a Luton van. I would expect that job to sell for round about 150 quid. Now, if you're going to put in a bid of like, this is what I mean about the supply and demand graph, you see. If you put in a bid for £1, then everybody's going to book you. Straight away, we're going to have that job every day off you for £1. Although not necessarily, there's a caveat, we'll come to that one at the end. If you want to say, I want £100,000 to do that, no one's going to book you. Because no one's going to pay £100,000 for Luton to drive from sort of Slough to Kettering. But there's kind of a middle point. So I mean, this is down here and this is there. This is basic Mickey Mouse economics I did at school. But there's a midpoint where you go, it's the balance between the amount of supply of vehicles is there and the amount of demand for those vehicles. It kind of hits this point, like, you know. And the argument is, you'll get, if you put in a bids a little bit high, then you're less likely to get it. If you put the bids a little bit low, you're more likely to get it. But if you try and get it bang on the bullseye, you're going to get the right amount of money for the job, and the shipper's going to pay you the money that they want to pay you for the job. So how do you work out going rate? Well, the way I would say you work out going rate is it's something that is kind of it's based on previous experience. So, well, in the past, I put this job on, and I've had like 20 quotes, and they range from £100, but I've checked them out, and the feedback's not brilliant, and they've not really got a lot of experience, and the van's not that tidy, over to like 250 quid, which is super duper all shiny. But why am I going to pay 250 quid when I've got a dozen people underneath him for less money? And the right number seems to be about 150 quid. So then what you would do as a shipper, from the shipper's point of view, is you go, well, I know how much that job goes for. So then when people ring me and they go, look, I need you to move 5 pallets from Slough to Kettering, how much is it going to cost? You'll probably turn around to them and go, you're probably looking about 225 quid for that job. You might be looking at, depending how much you want to make as a shipper, you might say 250, 300. You might go, we can do that job for £180. The difference you've got is the more money you quote your customer, the more profit you can make, but the more chance your customer's going to take a walk. The less money you quote your customer, then the more chance that you have of actually failing to get that job off for the right money, or sort of not be, or just not being able to do the job at all, or it costing you money. You can go the other way, which a lot of people do, is they say, people ring up and they go, how much is it going to cost me to move 5 pallets from Slough to Kettering? And they go, I'll just put it out there and I'll get back to you. But from a shipper's point of view, you don't really want to do that. Because you want to, particularly when we're on the exchange and we're all their vans, it's like, what do you mean? What, you've got to ask some people how much they can do it for? So you're subcontracting. So why am I using you? Why am I not going directly? So you would probably turn around to them and you might say, we can do that job for this amount of money. Then you put it on the exchange and you might get lucky. It might turn out that you might get in half a dozen bids for around 100, 120 quid. You've already told them you're going to do it for 225. They're all decent. You book the guy who's close, make yourself a winner. You might be unlucky, where you turn around and go, It's a really busy day on the exchange. They're used to doing the job for £225. I cannot get a Luton van in there for under £250. In which case, what you have to do is you have to book the van for £250, charge the customer £225, and you lose £25 on the job. But the way you work it, and this is just, I'm sure I'm not a shipper, the office deals with the shipper, but it's kind of what we do, is that you don't make money on one job, you make money on 1,000 jobs. You work 52 weeks of the year, you don't work one day of the year. You want to try not to lose money on jobs. I've known people turn around to me before and they've gone, I say, how much do you want? I've got £100, and they've gone, I've only got £100 on the job, but you can have it, just to get it off, just to see it away, like, you know. And you go, well, okay, I'm going to wipe my mouth on that one, I'll make money on the next one. But this is why, and after a while you would tend to evolve the fact that there's like a going rate. And I know when I see jobs ping up, I go, I'm going to bid on that. I'm going to bid on that. Sometimes, like, you know, I'll put a bid in which I think is quite competitive, and nothing happens. And I go, okay, you guys are going to want to get that job for less than that money. Good luck with that. Because I know how much that job should be. I've done it before. I know how long I'm in there and how long I'm out of there. I know that, you know, and everyone else is like me. They're going to go, yeah, no, it's a prison. You ain't getting it cheaper than that. And then, like, you look at it an hour later and it's still sitting there going, you're waiting for a cheap price, and you might get it, or you might not, because, you know, what you're asking, you shouldn't be paying the cheap price. You should be quoting going rate. And you get to that, and also in my early days, I'd quote what I thought was going rate. And the job would come from straight away, and I go, oh, lovely. Then realise it wasn't going rate, because it's not going from Slough to Kettering. It's going from Dunstable to Skegness or Lincoln or somewhere out that way. And you go, I can't get a job out of here. So there is a lot more to going rate than just distance. It's time. It's how quickly you're going to get loaded, how quickly you are going to get unloaded, what time of the day it is, whether you're going to get another job coming back, whether it's like it's a very early pickup, it's a late pickup, it's a weekend, it's a bank holiday. There's an awful lot more to it. But after a while, I think you get a hang of going rate. And I think shippers are prepared to pay going rate. I've had it before also, you know, like I've said, where I've rung people up when I was in the Luton, and I've bid them £85, and they've gone, he's a guy said, I've actually got 4 bids of £75, but you sound like you know what you're doing, I'm going through. So it's not always a case that the shippers want to pay the cheapest people. Not everybody's out to squeeze every single penny out of you. I mean, at the Benz mob, I never even used to quote them. I'd just say send it through, and a lot of the time they would pay me more than I was prepared to quote them. Because they're good people. They go, well, I've got this much money on the job, I'm happy. I know you're going to do a decent job. You take that, go feed your family. Life is good. Coming back to it at the beginning, I always said that I know if you book £10,000, then no one's going to do it. If you book £1, everyone's going to want you. No, they probably won't. Because they'll probably sit and look at that and they'll go, who's this numpty booking it at £1? He clearly hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He's going to get in there and realise that everything's gone wrong, and he's probably just going to up sticks and leave, and he's going to leave me right in the lurch with the shipper. So sometimes quoting too cheap is not the best way to do it. You kind of got to try to work out what you think the going rate is, and depending on how badly you want the job, you either try and hit the bullseye, or you go just a little bit underneath the bullseye, just to guarantee you're going to get it in there. I find that sometimes. I think I really want that job, I'm going to go a little bit underneath the bullseye. If the phone don't ring straight away, I either go, well, that's a magic job, or they want it even cheaper still, in which case let somebody else do it, because I ain't doing it for that kind of money, because I'm just not going to make no money. So I do think there's a going rate. What the going rate is, different people have different ideas. It depends on how much they can get off their ship. It depends how much they want to pass on. It depends how much profit they want to make on every other job. There's no fixed rule about this. It's not like, you know, in retail everything gets marked up to 0.5%. It's you charge what you want to charge, you quote what you want to quote, and you find your own way moving forward. I said with Tony would always bid a lot more on jobs than I did, but then I'd win a lot more jobs than Tony. Who's got the right system? I don't know. It's probably never will. So, but yeah, I think that is going rate. We probably will discuss the idea of going rate on the Sunday Q&A. But in the meantime, I hope that kind of sheds some light on the way it kind of works. And I hope you're out there enjoying the rain, as the sun has now gone. My garden has turned green again. I'm not crying about it. I'm just going to sit here and finish off the rest of my break, and I'm going to go home. And then next week, it's Friday today, I'm going to take care. I'm going to take money.